Email remains the most dominant and best-loved form of communication between business users today. Certainly it shows no sign of going away, but the storage of millions of emails is starting to cause problems for organisations, not only because of the volume of data that they represent, but also as a result of increasingly stringent legislation. At a time when more and more businesses are concerned about data management, it's surprising that more attention is not paid to email archives. After all, there's a huge amount of intellectual property tied up in all those messages and attachments, and different business units have differing requirements. It's the job, of course, of the IT department to understand those requirements and deliver the most appropriate service to each of them. It sounds almost impossible. Well, I spoke to Jason Dudley, Group Infrastructure Manager at accountancy firm Mazars, to find out how he manages his firm's email and data needs.
Well, as far as archiving is concerned, we have an archiving policy. We try to archive everything for 7 years. There are some areas that we need to archive for longer than that, so we deal with trusts and mortgages and things like that we need to keep for longer. For email, we use an internal archiving system, which is Enterprise Vault, and we have done for some years now. And we also make use of 6 months worth of archiving that we get from Mimecast as well, which also scans our emails for the nasties that are out on the internet.
But what do IT managers need from their email solution? I asked John Leonard, Research Editor at Computing.
Well, from an IT perspective, they need an email solution that's easy to manage and is going to flex and grow with the organisation itself, and also adapt to changes over time, such as mobility, for example. Increasingly, we're seeing that organisations are looking for their email archive not only just to be a static repository, but also to be a searchable resource that all sorts of different staff members can use.
The principal concern cited by Mazars is availability.
Really, availability more than anything. I mean, it's a commodity item now, and it's just something that people have become accustomed to. It's the de facto way in which business does business. So we need an environment that is stable, accessible, 24 hours a day, and doesn't fall over because it needs maintenance and things.
So obviously you're a cloud user. Do you trust the cloud from both a security and an availability perspective?
Well, there are lots of companies that refuse, if you like, to use cloud providers, and it always surprises me that they wouldn't use a cloud provider that's ISO 27001 compliant or otherwise, when generally speaking most businesses don't even come close to that sort of compliance. They seem to think it would be safer in their own environment than it would in a third party, and typically speaking, when you have people with that sort of accreditation, they have all of this availability and disaster recoverability firsthand. So really, it's I think as long as people are looking at what sort of accreditations that these companies have got, then I personally wouldn't have an issue with moving into the cloud. You need to look at things like on a personal level, physical security. How easy is it to get into the place? Because you can have all the firewalls in the world in that organisation, but if somebody will leave a back door open, then that goes out the window. I think the other thing that people sometimes forget is what happens at the end of the contract. So getting your data out of it. There are some companies out there that give you very tight timescales as far as removing data from their environment, and there are others that are very helpful and will give it to you in whatever format you want. So I think if anybody's looking at a cloud provider for anything, they should look at what would happen at the end of the contract rather than at the beginning.
According to our recent survey of large organisations, just 7% said that they're using third-party hosting to host their archive in the cloud, and another 2% using a private cloud solution. Trust in the security of the cloud is still a huge issue for many, and others are concerned about the long-term cost implications of using cloud services.
Can your staff access data from any device?
As far as our external services are concerned, Mimecast in particular, we adopted for two reasons. One, our previous supplier wasn't doing a very good job, but the second one was really from a DR point of view. And although we have a data centre replicated down at our DR site, it obviously takes a little bit of time to come up. So this gives the option for the person to gain instant access to their emails through these cloud providers. So we don't restrict what they can access for those. One of the things we have done recently though is we've adopted good technology, good for enterprise, so that we can bubble the information on personal devices, because we did see a few years ago when the iPad first came out that people were just trying to access via ActiveSync, our email system, and before we even knew it was happening, we needed to do something about it. So we've implemented good for enterprise now, which means we've got much more control over those things.
IT managers are concerned about the ever-increasing storage demands as more and more emails need to be stored in order to comply with regulations. Increasingly too, IT managers are concerned with pushing emails out securely onto all the sorts of devices that people are now using as the workforce becomes more mobile.
Let's take a look at how email and archiving needs differ between departments.
We use Citrix here, so we have the same experience when you're out in the office as you're in the office as you would if you're at a client site. So it's so long as you can get an internet connection, obviously, but we carry Wi-Fi devices and things that people can plug into, which means that you get exactly the same experience. You've got exactly the same access to everything that you would need when you're out on site. I haven't actually had any requests as such to make changes to these things, and I think where people do need to carry stuff, we offer secure devices that they can use. I mean, hard disk encryption and encrypted USB keys. So from a sales point of view, I have to say I haven't had a great deal of interaction with them, but people not complaining about stuff is usually a good thing in IT. So
salespeople need to be able to react quickly to customers' and suppliers' queries. More and more, salespeople are using collaborative technologies to ensure that they have all the information that they need at all times. And if these technologies can plug into the email archive, so much the better.
Well, we have a central design team here that deal with that side of things. So, if ever anything's going to go out of the business, we make sure that it has the same look and feel. They are pretty adept at what they do, and they know what to look for. As far as sending large files are concerned, typically speaking, the issue is at the other end. We find that most of the complaints about delivering files to our clients and suppliers is down to the restrictions that the clients and suppliers have. However, where they do have that, we have an FTP service that we use, which people can upload files to and send a link to the individual so they can download it via that route, and that avoids the email restriction that lots of companies put on.
It's estimated that emails, including attachments, contain something like 80% of an organisation's IP. Obviously, this is of huge concern to compliance officers who need to know that this information is not only secure, but that it can be retrieved quickly in the event of an e-discovery request from the authorities.
Do you allow staff to store data in the public cloud?
They're told not to. I think with the proliferation of the iPads and the mobile devices, it's difficult to stop people to do it. I think you could put any technology in place and somebody will find a way around it. So I think what you need to do is concentrate on education. We need to ensure that the users are aware of some of the risks. LinkedIn, for example, has recently said it would be a really good idea to make more contacts for you to log into your email system using your work password, so we can lift off all of your contacts and we can find them on LinkedIn for you. What a great way of networking. But people need to understand that actually they've given their network password to a third party. It's a dangerous route if people are not educated into what those risks are.
So thinking about finance now, one of their chief concerns will be ROI. How easy is it to measure ROI with these sorts of tools, or is it more of a productivity gain?
I mean, the one area that I have seen is the reduced amount of work that the service desk have got to do, the help desk have got to do in restoring stuff that's no longer there because the users have deleted it accidentally or otherwise. We have access to this stuff. The other side of it is the compliance. Obviously with all this archiving that we're doing, we're able to produce compliance reports. We're able to do what a few years ago might have taken a couple of weeks to pull together an email request. now takes literally 30 minutes. So that's a great deal of saving. And obviously there are some regulatory reasons why we would need to complete those within a time frame. And if IT isn't the impact on that time frame, great. And it's one area that I think that's really where the benefit has been.
Whilst each department has its own needs, they aren't necessarily antagonistic. And given the flexibility of some of today's cloud offerings, which enable secure storage, search and retrieval, and seamless mobile access to emails and archives, firms like Mazars are finding real value in these sorts of solutions.